Hi, I'm Kalyan Karmakar and welcome to the Finely Chopped Kitchen. Today I'm going to share with you a recipe of a dish which I'm going to make for the first time. So it's a sort of a Bengali dish. I don't know how inspired it is, but we're going to call it Kaatla KASUNDI because I'm going to use Kaatla mach for this, which is a cousin of Rohu, sort of a freshwater carp. And I'm going to make it in KASUNDI, which is a mustard sauce. So of course the SHORSHE mustard jhol is quite a traditional Bengali dish in which mustard paste is done, but that's fresh mustard, freshly ground mustard paste. And interestingly, my mother would always make shorshe machar jhol with either what is called choto mach, like tangra, pabda, parshe, like whole fish, which is small and such size, or with ilish. Though my grandmom, who's 92 and who was born in Dhaka, said that in her time shorshe would be used, mustard would be used for ilish only if the fish was not very fresh. Otherwise, they got such fresh ilish from the river back then that very little tempering would be done to the fish. Now, shorshe in Kaatla or Rui is something which I was actually introduced to when I came to Mumbai in '96, and I was in my MBA at that time, and I was staying with the family of friends of our neighbors in Calcutta. I'd come to give the books for our placement to companies over here, and Tokaidi, whose house it was, she made rematch with shorshe, which to me was a novel experience. I later found it in restaurants also like O Calcutta and so on. I don't know whether they kept it because customers asked for it or whether it's a traditional dish. I have no idea. But today I'm going to make the katla with KASUNDI, and I'm going to make it in a slightly KAALIA style with a bit of an onion base. I want to make this recipe up as it goes. If it turns out well, then you'll know that it did, because I'm going to share it on YouTube, in which case. But if it doesn't turn out well, this is the last you're hearing about it. Okay, let me go and cook now. Let me tell you what's going into it. There is the katla mach, of course, and which I'm going to smear with turmeric, red chili powder, salt, and then shallow fry. There's mustard oil, and this is the KASUNDI. It's a mustard paste or sauce, chutney you could say, used in Bengal with muri, fish fry, cutlet, chop, and so on. Sometimes I use the one from Singcheong. It's a Chinese-owned manufacturing company in Calcutta. This is made by my friend ANANYA who runs a thing called the Sari Chef in Mumbai. Very nice, very flavorful. It's got a bit of kick of chilies, mustard oil, pungency. So I'm not going to use any other spices really apart from this. A bit of dahi perhaps to temper the mustard oil. And to give a KAALIA-like feel, I'm going to also put in onion, green chili, ginger garlic, and a bit of dhania at the end. So that's it. I heated the mustard oil and then slid in the katla. I put in the skin side first wherever it's possible so that it gets a bit of crispness. I turned it around after about 10 seconds because I don't want it to be too crunchy, too crisp. It's just shallow frying that we're looking at. The two flatter pieces are the patty pieces of the stomach, and they're the really fatty ones. The smaller ones are the gada or the back, so slightly more bony, but it's nice when you have them crispy fried. Patty is always nicer in a KAALIA or a curry, and very, very indulgent. I've taken the fried fish out and started making the curry. Now, it's not really a curry, it's going to be a thickish dish. And what I've done is that to the same wok and the same oil, which is remaining, I heated it, added a little bit of sugar to help the onion caramelize, and then added onion. Now, KAALIA, of course, like I said even before, comes from the Mughlai restaurant tradition of Kolkata, which has come from Awadh, and it refers to an onion-based dish. And typically when had in weddings or special occasions, tends to be quite rich with a fair bit of oil. But we are using really minimal oil, and plus the KASUNDI has a bit of oil of its own as well. So now I'm going to let the onions brown. The onion has begun to brown, and I've added some finely chopped ginger and garlic, like half a spoon of it. Now purists will point out that the onion needs to be actually a paste, as does the ginger garlic, because the KAALIA is actually a very thick gravy. Like I said, this is inspired by the onion in a KAALIA. It's not really a KAALIA. I'm just making this dish as it goes in a manner which is easy to make. I really don't have the time to right now sit and grind the onions. But then that's the story of the finely chopped kitchen. Once the onion and ginger garlic were done, I added the fried fish back in, gently coating it, and then goes the masala. So what I've done is I've mixed a bit of kasundi and dahi. I've kept it at a very low flame so that the dahi doesn't curdle. Now remember, each kasundi mix really differs in terms of pungency, chili heat, the salt in it, noon in it. So I think you need to taste the kasundi you're using and then decide if you need any further spices. And then if you can, then if you need to, you can add some salt or whatever. I'm not adding anything else to this except if I need some salt. I've added a wee bit of water, like half a bowl, to sort of get a bit of a sauce to the dish so that one can have it with rice. The use of dairy, whether doi, which is curd, or even milk, is not unheard of in Bengal. It's fairly common. Unlike, say, in Mumbai, in the west coast, where dairy is normally not mixed with fish. But see, it's getting a nice color now. And remember that your fish is already cooked because you shallow fried it. So you don't need to cook it for too long. I'm done with the cooking, and at the end I added a bit of coriander or dhone pata, like my mom likes to do. I added a bit of green chili. I usually add mustard oil at the end of it, but what I've done is I've added a bit of the oil from Ananya's kasundi, and we are... I told you that I'll share the recipe if it turns out well. Well, I'm yet to eat mine, but Kaina's has started, and she said that every time you buy rohu or katla, you have to make this. So I'm going to share this recipe with you.